Hi there, my name is Kendrick and welcome to Travel and Live Free. In this video, we're going to cover my country number 15 in my journey to visit every single country in the world, and that's Namibia. Now, Namibia is one of those countries that I actually look forward into visiting, and I really did not have a good experience when I went there. Not to say that the country is not beautiful, it's one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been to, especially if you love landscape, which I absolutely love landscape. I'm a big landscape and nature kind of guy, and Namibia has all that stuff. Nature and landscape, it has everything that you want to see. I'm pretty sure a lot of people had a good experience while traveling to Namibia, and I just had an unlucky experience. But this unlucky experience was enough to sour my taste of going to Namibia, and I'm not sure if I'm going to go back there anytime soon. Right from the get-go, I really had a bad experience with Namibia already. I took a 22-hour bus ride from Zambia to go all the way to Namibia. By the time we got there to the bus station, we actually didn't have an accommodation set up because everything seems to be sold out beforehand. So we ended up getting a taxi, and after I negotiated a price with the taxi, we went to the hostel, and by the time we got to my hostel, the taxi driver said, oh yeah, that price is just for one person, there's two of you, so you have to pay double. So I already got scammed the first day that we were in Namibia. We get to our hostel, and we managed to secure the last room that they had, which was lucky for me and Karen. And the owner was trying to get us to join a tour, but he said that we needed 3 travelers to make it worth his while. Now, I did find another traveler, but the traveler that I met, he's a Japanese guy who's been backpacking all across Africa, one of the most inspirational guys I've ever met, actually said that it's cheaper if we actually rented a car. So, recommended that he found some other Japanese backpackers that could team up with us and we can all rent a car together. So we ended up going to the car rental place together, and we went to several places actually because most of them were sold out in terms of car rental. When we finally found a place that would rent us a car, the car could only drive manual, and my Japanese friend has not driven a manual car in years. So that also made another interesting situation. Now, my Japanese friend didn't have a credit card that he can use for the car rental, so we actually ended up using my credit card, which is a bad idea. You should never use the credit card for renting a car, especially if you're not the driver of the car, because he's gonna be the driver because he's the one who could drive a manual transmission and I cannot. So we gathered all the Japanese backpackers together. We tried some local food in Windhoek, which is the capital city of Namibia. The following day, we drove all the way to Sosovle. Okay, so we managed to rent the car after struggling yesterday. Rio here in the back, he spent so many hours looking for the perfect rental car company. And then we got lucky to find like one car with Eurocar. Yeah. And then by luck we found some new friends. Say your names. Yota and Natsuki. And we got together. Now there's 5 of us, and we're taking a drive to Sosovle to see the Dune 45 and Big Daddy and the trees, the Devle. Out of good luck also, Ryu, I think he is very out of practice with the driving standards, so luckily Yota can drive. So, you know, out of good luck, you know, us 5, we made it work, and now we're going to Sosovle. Anyone want to say something?
It's alright.
It's okay.
I hope this is not the last message you want to make in the video.
Yeah, hopefully the car will stay this side, you know, the whole way when we get to the dirt road.
Hey, be careful.
Yeah, be careful. Yeah, but you're driving really good, so I think that's gonna be okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, just Karen, wave with the camera. There you go. Alright, so we'll continue the video later as we get deeper into the road trip. It was quite a rough drive. The roads in Namibia are pretty much beaten up. So after you get off the highway, it's all gonna be dirt, rocky, and gravelly kind of road. So you're not driving on anything that's paved. And this is very dangerous because it's easy for the car to slip and slide. The drive to Sosovle took several hours, and by the time we got there, we set up camp and we actually end up going to climb Dune 45, which was a really wonderful experience. I love Dune 45. It was really magical seeing the sunset in that dune. Okay, so we just reached Dune 45. This is it in the background right here. And we're gonna go climb it shortly. It's been a long drive through the road of Namibia. It's quite a really tough road to drive, but we made it, and I think it's gonna be worth it. So we're gonna go climb this right now. I'm gonna take off my flip-flops / sandals and put on my socks and hike it with my socks. Anyways, we'll see you at the top then. Okay, so we're now climbing the sand dunes here in Sosovle in Namibia. Now, overnight, it was pretty brutal because me and Karen ended up sleeping in the car and we didn't have enough warm clothes and it was actually freezing cold in the Namibian desert. The next day, we were so exhausted when we went to go and see Big Daddy and Deadplay. Okay, we are now approaching the famous Deadplay where the trees cannot decompose because there is the lack of moisture. So as a result, they became preserved and they look like they're still alive when they're actually dead. So it's just right in front of us, right here. And we're heading into it right now. You can see the pan that used to be, I believe, a lake bed that has dried up because of drought. Now the interesting thing is, even though there's a lot of dead trees here, there's also a lot of trees that is alive, so it doesn't make sense to me how there's live trees and there's dead trees. And we'll find out when we take a closer examination when we get closer. Hi, so we just arrived at Deadplay. This is the world famous site for the petrified trees that, well, preserved trees that never died because of lack of moisture. So as a result, they were preserved. So here it is, check out the view. So there's something eerie about it?
Huh?
Something eerie about it?
No, it's just...
But we made it work. We got Deadplay, saw those beautiful trees, and it was absolutely amazing. I took so many pictures. It was just incredible. It's just one of those experiences that cannot be missed. Definitely, if you're traveling in Namibia, you need to see Deadplay in Sossusvlei. After checking out Deadplay, we went up Big Daddy, and actually, it was a pretty tough hike. It was so hot, and Karen was dying the whole time, and it took a lot of motivation and inner guts and inner grit to actually make it to the top. But it was well worth that effort. Okay, so we just reached the top of Big Daddy here. We're exhausted. And we were kind of stupid too. We went the longer way when there was actually a shortcut by the deadpan. But it's okay, we made it. Here's Ryu, and Karen is in the end right there. She's coming back right now. And we're just gonna take some pictures before we head back down. By the time we got down, we drove back to camp and we started driving back to Windhoek. Now, this is when things went from good to really bad because at first it was still a rough drive, but we were more or less okay. But the driver started getting overconfident, and before long, as we were driving in one of the gravelly roads, our car spun out of control and we actually had a nasty car crash. And I was sleeping when this happened. It actually woke me up, and luckily no one got hurt in this car crash. But the car was definitely damaged and we weren't sure if we can actually drive it back to Windhoek. A police did come by later on and he said that we have to get the car out of the road and get a police report and then bring it back to the car rental place. Luckily for us, the car could still move, but we had to drive super slow. So the Japanese driver drove super slow, made it back to one of the local towns. We filed a police report, which took quite some time to file. It was also a very interesting experience going to a Namibian police station. And you know, they had the board that tells you the number of people who was committing crime and what kind of crime they were committing. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the categories were, but you can use your imaginations for that. Now, after we had this little experience, we ended up driving back to Windhoek, and I was just really disgruntled at this point. And all right, so yesterday we had a quite crazy day. We were in a car crash on our way back from Sossusvlei back to Windhoek. The car spun out of control and then it went up this ramp looking thing, and then after it hit it, the front bumper was wrecked, and that rubber thing right above the tires was it fell apart. So we weren't sure if we were gonna make it back, but we got the police report and the police reassured us that the insurance is not going to be as bad as it looks, so hopefully it's going to be okay. I rented a vehicle with 3 other Japanese individuals plus Karen, and that's what we that's our group. And one of the Japanese was the one driving, and I think he got a little bit impatient when he was driving, maybe, I don't know, or maybe just too tired, so he spun out of control. Anyways, they're going to the car rental place today to sort things out, and hopefully everything works out so we don't get charged a huge amount of money for renting our vehicle. Anyway, so later on today we're gonna go back to Johannesburg, and we're just gonna go stay there for maybe a day or two just to rest up and collect our minds before going to our next destination. Me and Karen used our points to stay in a hotel for free at Windhoek because we wanted to get that airport transfer the next day because we were flying out to South Africa. One of the things that really pissed me off about the experience is that the Japanese backpackers that traveled with me took over 3 months before they actually paid me back for their share of the car damage. And it took me, like I said, 3 months to hound them down and finally get them to pay me back. The guy that I went with paid me back pretty quickly. He was pretty easy to deal with, but the other 2 Japanese people was a pain to deal with. Which I kind of understand. They were young and they probably didn't have any money, and they probably had to save up some money before they can pay me back. But it was really a pain in the ass to get them to pay me back. I actually had to get Karen to hound them down because they stopped responding to me. But I think they felt shameful that Karen had to hound them down for paying back their share of damage for the car. Anyways, that was my trip in Namibia. It wasn't my favorite travel experience. It was beautiful. Don't regret it. Don't know if I'm gonna go back. I do want to see Etosha National Park, but at this point, it's not very high on my list of countries to visit right now. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. And don't forget to sign up to the Travel and Live Free newsletter, where you can get a 10-step cheat sheet on how to travel around the world, as well as get the latest tips and strategies on how to save money on travel as Canadian, how to travel around the world as a Canadian, and how to get more freedom in your life as a Canadian. You can sign up to the newsletter in the description below. Until next time, I'll see you then.
誰が私ずっと飲みあ、そうか、俺たちお茶飲まないとあれがないのか。
うん。まあ。
そうそうそうそう。じゃあ入れます。はい。はい。で、冷えるとラーメン伸びちゃいますもんね。そうだね。
フォーク的な感じ。
おお、結構量が。ああ、なんか面白い。
なんか玉ねぎ入ってるやつが。
これ
大きいのから入ってるやつがゴミ箱。
でもありっすね。
余っても。
そうだね。
あれはければいいんです。
よし。なんかやばい、麺ができつつあるもん。そうっすね。
スープ入れます。
あ、そうだ、スープ入れないや。スープ入れよう。スープ入れよう。
どっちがかわかんないんだよね。ちょっとどっちがか見て、みんなで座ってもらう。
スパイシーとか。
いや、大きい方が多分ソース、あれで普通のソース。粉末で、ちっちゃい方が多分スパイスだと思う。大きい方だけ入れます。いや、2個入れていいと思う。
だって2個しかないんだよね、スパイシー。
いや、とりあえず入れていきましょう。
もう全部入れよう。お、いいね、いいね。It looks so chemical.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Well, at least we won't go to bed hungry.
あれ、開かないな、こっち。
本当だね。
こっち開かないか。
混ぜた方がいいか。
そうっすね。混ぜ。
めっちゃいい匂いする。
本当？
やばいっす。
これはあるね。
すごい量の粉だな。
うん。
ちょっと味。
これもチリだ。
Two different noodles.
Oh,
to the flavor? Who
One
cares?
is a bit spicy.
これなつちゃんの外れ。
だって2つしかない。
ああ、これ当たりだ。
おお、なんか
もういい気がします、
ね
私。
もうラーメンできたじゃないですか。
いい。
ちょっと黄身だけ潰しといた方がいいよね。でも食えないよね。
そうっすね。
危ないですね
潰しましょう。
黄身じゃ見つけて潰しちゃう。
お茶気をつけて。
おお、
できましたね。
うん。なかなかそれっぽくなった。
いいじゃないですか。
うん。黄身が見当たらないな。
そうだね。車動く、あれだね。食べてから。
We're excited to eat your food.
This mixed noodle.